Listen, I think because I get the question constantly, like, why is rowing the best thing that you should choose? And the answer is, it's not the best thing that you should choose. But if that's the thing you do choose, then you should love it. And frankly, the best fitness is the thing that you're going to do consistently and stick with. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is that we're producing human movement, because the human body is meant to move in some form, shape, way, whatever it may be. There's no perfect fitness. It just doesn't exist. You have to be mentally engaged with the thing that you're doing if you're going to stick with it. And not everything needs to have a book, a program, a machine to buy to access it.
At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
Shane Farmer, welcome to the Active Life podcast,
Yes,
my friend.
I am so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. I mean,
I feel like this has been a long time coming.
Considering 6 years ago, I was running an event called Flex on the Beach, Flex in the City, and Flex on the Mall in Washington, D.C. And someone came over to me and they were like, you should hook up with this guy, Shane Farmer. He's working with, I think you were working with Invictus or something at the time. And
yeah, that's where I got my start.
Yeah. And they were like
way back.
He's a great rowing coach. And I was like, that's really cool, but I have no idea why I would want to work with him. Like,
and
right. I run an event and I have a clinic and I have a gym, and I guess he could come in and teach our athletes how to row, but he's in California. I'm in New York.
Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life.
Look, it's, here's the thing about that. And it's funny. I think too many people here too often say no more often. They hear that all the time. And so they're thinking like, I need to say no more often. That's the kind of thing to say no to. Like, well, there's no angle here for anybody to be successful. So say no to that.
Correct.
But say yes more often. So Shane, I would love for you to just get right into it with me. Why, like, who cares, man? I have a lot of respect for you.
Literally.
But
nobody.
But like rowing, like why start a company to teach people how to be better rowers? It seems to me like there's half of 1% of the population maybe has a rower at home, and half of 1% of them care about their ability to use it. Talk me through.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, maybe there are like 20 people out there and none of them actually care about rowing.
and you got all of them. They're all working with your dark horse.
And yet I got every single one. No, listen, man, I don't have a reasonable justification for why you should love rowing. And frankly, it doesn't matter to me if you love rowing or not. That's never been my aim. The thing that I've always pursued has been, let's just make the movement of rowing more accessible to people, because I know there are rowing machines out there, and I want to help all of the people who feel intimidated by rowing the sport, because frankly, rowers suck. Like, we're really terrible at welcoming people in who are interested. And that's why not a whole lot of people row, unless you find it as a junior or a college athlete like I did. You don't get into rowing later in life because it's not welcoming. And rowers are really, can I swear? Is this swearing podcast?
I mean, if you could try to fucking avoid it, that would be. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, rowers are just really shitty about. We're like very snobby about our sport, and that has always been like, has rubbed me the wrong way, always. And so that I kind of made that my mission. And everybody along the way that was in the rowing world told me, "Don't do this. Stop doing it. Nobody has ever succeeded at this," and my personality is such that made me double down. And here we are. I've got the world's largest rowing YouTube channel. And I don't talk to rowers. I only talk to the fitness community.
Well, the interesting thing is you probably looked at it and you're like, yeah, no one succeeded because you're all a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it. And what's so funny is I have preached that the entire time. I will openly say, like, rowers, like, you guys suck at communicating your sport to other people. Like, just try to have a little empathy. Apparently, nobody has listened this entire time.
I have 2 experiences with rowers in my life, and I'll tell you the first one now and the second one after I ask you my next question, because I think we have so much parallel, and I want to share that with you. The first one is from the Facebook movie, The Social Network.
Okay.
Which is not really an experience with rowers, but it was like the 2, like, oh, we're on the rowing team at Harvard. There's 6'4" or 225 pounds. There's 2 of us. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, guys are douchebags. So that was my first experience with rowers. And my other one I want to share with you after you talk to me about how you found rowing, because I think that the parallels that we're going to discuss here are startlingly similar.
Yeah. So I played every sport that I could get my hands on in school when I was in high school. I was, a 12-season athlete. I went from football to alpine skiing. So I'm from Minnesota. So I raced alpine skiing, and then I played baseball freshman, sophomore, and then switched to track junior and senior because I was horribly slow. And I was like, well, if I want to get faster, I should probably practice running. So I joined track as a terrible athlete. And then I went to college and stumbled my way into a club baseball team my first 2 years of school. And I missed it. I forgot how much I loved baseball and missed baseball. And then I ended up transferring schools after that year. And I went to the University of San Diego, which has an unbelievable baseball program. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna walk on to this team. And I transferred, and I was like, I walked with like, oh man, I'm gonna get this. Well, I really should have done my research ahead of time because I didn't know when tryouts were, and I don't know, I thought they were gonna put like a big neon sign on campus about it. So I missed tryouts, not a good start. And I went to the coach after and I said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a transfer student, I blew it. Can I, throw a pitching workout or anything? Like, you just give me a shot. And he gave me the better luck next year talk, and then just ushered me out of his office. And then a day later, guy across the hall from me had been recruited to row, was like, hey, you're tall and skinny, you should check out rowing. And the rest is history.
That is, I can't, like, you added parallels as you told that story. So when I was in 8th grade, my family, my father, my friends would call me any version of swivel hips, crazy legs, whatever it was, because I would like, they used to joke that I was like the road runner, except I wasn't fast. So I would run in space, like, and not move for like
lots of movement, but very little
like
actual travel,
5 really hard steps and no forward momentum whatsoever. So I was like, all right, I'm going to learn how to do this. So I joined the track team in middle school, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to run. They taught me how to run. And then I came back, I was a better athlete. And then I tried out for the baseball team at University of Maryland because I got recruited to 2 Division I schools, Quinnipiac and Towson. And I was like, my ego is too big to go to a small conference school. And I'm not going D3. That's for losers. You didn't really play sports in college. If you played D3, you just get like the second level of high school. That's how I felt at the time. And
it's like a participation trophy.
Yes. Thank you. And I threw all those out, by the way. Even through Little League, I threw those out. So I get to Maryland. I'm like, I'm going to try out for the team in the ACC. I'm going to make it. And they're going to be like, where's this guy been our whole life? We needed to sign this guy out of high school. And that's not what happened. I got cut. I got cut twice. Both times for not being big enough, according to the coach. But the second time I got cut, I was like, you know what seems like a good way to get jacked? Rowing. So I'm going to go join the crew team. What the hell do I know?
Terrible idea.
Yeah. So I went to one day of crew practice. It was at 5 a.m. And then I said, fuck this. So it had nothing to do with the rowers being bad people. It had everything to do with the fact that it was at 5 a.m. and I was in college. And that just wasn't going to happen.
The attrition rate in collegiate rowing is astonishing.
I'm sure. Partying and rowing don't exactly line up when rowing happens at 5 a.m.
They don't at all.
No.
At least if you're on a team that like wants to be successful. If you're at a small school where like the MO is fun, then who cares? You can show up and you can practice hungover, but
I don't know. I had an interesting experience doing that with the rugby team. They that was the next possible path for me, and I had a lot of fun for 2 weeks, and then we started having tackling in practice, and some guy who weighed about 100 pounds more than me cut me in half. And it was like the first time I ever kissed my kneecap in midair.
Oh,
so that was the end of that.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not built for damage.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned like the swivel hips thing, because I was infamous for leaving the duck trail in the dirt in between first and second whenever I was trying to steal. And so like that's what I was known for, was like this like outward foot pattern that just like that was how I ran. And yeah, the track team taught me to run. You know what I'm picturing? It was miserable. I hated my first year of track. It was so bad.
Have you seen the movie Major League?
Yeah.
Okay. When the scene when Willie Mays Hayes is trying to steal a base while they're showing how bad they are, and he like slides halfway to second, and the guy's like, come on. That's what I'm picturing when you describe your foot pattern in the dirt.
That's funny that you said. I have like a thing for like C-level baseball movies. Mm-hmm. Like that used to, back when DVDs were a thing, the only movies that I actually owned were like really, really great C-level baseball movies, like all of the major leagues. And what was the one with Wesley Snipes, The Fan? And
with De Niro.
The Fan, yeah, exactly, yes. So like, bad baseball movies are like my jam. I love that.
Well, I think Major League One. I think we might have an impasse here finally, because I think Major League One is an A-class, top of the line movie. Major League 2 goes to B, but it's hilarious. Major League 3, when they go to like the minor leagues and that whole thing, that's. But
where do you put Rookie of the Year?
B to C, high C, low B.
Okay. All right. I feel like I can agree with you on that. I can roll with you on like the A, B, C descending on Major League 1, 2, 3.
Rosenhausen. Yeah, I very much enjoyed Rookie of the Year, but I wouldn't call it a high level movie. Sandlot, on the other hand, I mean,
classic.
Yes,
doesn't get any better.
My daughter likes
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams is good, but you got to be in for it.
Right.
Like I watch,
but it's classic.
It is classic. And so is the other one that Kevin Costner made. I forget what it's called, where he's like Clear the Mechanism, and he throws a perfect game as like an old man. But we can talk about baseball movies the whole time. I don't know if the audience is going to stick with us.
I thought that's what this podcast was about.
It is. It could be.
Baseball movie review.
Yes, exactly. Well, so now that we've finished the We're Both Likeable part of the podcast, so you should continue listening to us. Shane, you and I share a common bond about a thing that we have a bone to pick with, which is the commoditization of the fitness space. You found fitness effectively through, deciding to not be an unconscious athlete. I found fitness because the prick of a baseball coach at University of Maryland told me he liked the fastball changeup slider and the way I hold runners on base and my ability to throw strikes, but I'm not big enough. So I was like, I'm going to go get jacked, and decided not to do that after all anyway. But, we both have come up through fitness using it as a valuable tool to further what we want to be able to do with our lives. And I think that because we share that thread, and it was never really an aesthetic pursuit, at least not for me. It was, I want to be a good athlete and I need to get better at this. I sought valuable resources, and I found myself wasting a lot of time following people and listening to people who were really just flashy and getting my attention. And I don't know if that's the same reason for you, but that pisses both of us off. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. It's, listen, I think because I get the question constantly, like, why is rowing the best thing that you should choose? And the answer is, it's not the best thing that you should choose. But if that's the thing you do choose, then you should love it. And frankly, the best fitness is the thing that you're going to do consistently and stick with. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is that we're producing human movement, because the human body is meant to move in some form, shape, way, whatever it may be. There's no perfect fitness. It just doesn't exist. You have to be mentally engaged with the thing that you're doing if you're going to stick with it. And not everything needs to have a book, a program, a machine, to buy to access it. And I think that's I got lucky in how I came up and where I learned to be a coach, and the mentors that I had around me and the community I was in. I was surrounded by a lot of just really high quality coaches early on. And the more high quality coaches I was able to learn from and experience and mentor me, the more I realized none of it matters and all of it matters. And if you love the thing, pursue it. And that's great as long as you want to pursue it. And it's okay to let it go and move on to the next thing. And too many people are scared of, well, I need to be fit enough to step foot in the gym, or I'm scared to work out in front of people. And it's like, well, maybe working out isn't the thing for you. Maybe long walks on the beach, maybe that's your thing, like go for a stroll. And if you love it, then great. If gardening is your thing and you get your fitness through gardening, good for you. I'm happy you found something you love.
Yeah, well, I think that, the people who are tracking down animals and hunting them for food for the tribe, they're not thinking about their workout. That is their workout.
Nope.
So
right.
So the reason that we need to work out as an American society is because everything is so easy. If we just we're left to our devices, the lazy gene in all humans comes out, and it's like, well, why would I stress myself? And I agree with you. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's just exactly right. We have made it is too easy to be a human nowadays. Like, for fuck's sake, like we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything to exist. You can never leave your house and be spoiled by everything that could come to your door. It is insane. At no point, and we are met, like your systems will break if you don't use them. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing to ourselves. We're parking a car in the middle of the forest and just like leaving it for years on end. And then we're surprised when disease sets in, and when, all of a sudden when your body blows up, like you don't just get to automatically put that ignition and start it again.
No, there's a great skit that, I don't know if you're into stand-up comedy at all, but Tom Segura talks about the idea that people are so lazy that, there's always something to complain about. And the day is going to come when like someone else takes a shit for us, feeds us, and we're going to be like, I don't like the way you did that. And it's I won't do it justice, so I'm going to stop right there. But it's a really good skit. It's on Netflix. You can find it. I don't know what it's called. You're going to watch all three to figure out which one it is.
Dude, and half the time though, like I don't blame. I do to some extent, but I don't really blame people. Like we have done it to ourselves as a society. I don't engage in social media discourse very often. Like it's stupid. Nothing productive comes of it. Like there is no ROI on engaging on social media generally. It's kind of why I generally treat it as like a one-way street, right? I put out information. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. I'm not going to engage with you either way. But my town where I live, we had a couple buildings burned down this past year. And so but it's right next to our downtown, and those lots were raised. We've got a cute little downtown here. And somebody put forward this plan to turn it into like a central meeting spot for our downtown, where there'd be, shopping and whatnot, but also like a central area for sitting and walking and all this stuff. And somebody posted on Nextdoor, and I like chimed in. I was like, this is a fantastic idea. I'd love to see more walkability for our town. I'd love to see more opportunities for people to just move, just reasons to be out on our feet, doing things and supporting local business. And the number of people who came at me for supporting something that could possibly remove parking spots from our downtown area, because their idea was that they wanted a bigger parking lot to access. I mean, it's just like that. That is the thing that blows me away.
Shane, I feel like there was a moment in time when we were one person, and then something happened and you split off and became somebody else. We have in our town, there is an old rundown laundromat that is a literal hazard waste liability in our town. So nobody can open a business there unless if they're prepared to do all of the work necessary to remediate the ground underneath it and then put their building in. You're not opening a business like, oh, this seems like an easy path. So someone who's going to do that is
right. Sure. Let me dump all that money into undoing all those years of poor work before.
So I'm like you. I want to see things that come into the town that are allowing people to express themselves physically, artistically, emotionally, intellectually, whatever. Like bring stuff that makes people think and
humanity.
Yes. And there is an arts and dance school that is lobbying to allow them to rebuild the space and put a facility on it with their own money. They're not asking for anyone to pay anything. And in our town's Facebook group, I went on there and I was like, this is exactly what we need. This is fantastic. I'm so looking forward to this coming into town. All of my daughters will use your facility. Please, thank you. Congratulations. This is great for everybody. I got piled on because it was like, I don't know. That's a bad intersection. There's no parking. And what about the kids? Are the kids going to get hit by cars in that intersection? And I'm like you. I don't want to engage with that. But at the same time, I was just like, I had to respond. So I wrote back. I'm like, it's across the street from the movie theater. How many kids have died going to the movies? Got it. Shut the fuck up. We need this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Dude, I did the same. I responded. There were like 4 people that really, and they were asking what my expert was on human movement and why I was qualified to even have the opinion that more movement was better for people. And at one point, some woman like started Googling me and found my stuff and then came back and commented and was like, oh, he's just a glorified personal trainer. And I was like, I can't. This is ridiculous. Like I'm arguing the validity of whether or not humans are supposed to move online versus a bunch of, sorry, but like 75-year-olds who just despise movement now and want the world to come to them. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I responded for maybe half a day. I was, creating these really well thought out arguments. And then I just went, I'm done. And I deleted my Nextdoor account the next day.
Yeah. You should have just taken a picture of yourself naked, posted it there, gotten yourself kicked off and been like, if you're not confident enough to do this, then you don't understand.
Force me off the platform.
Yes, exactly. So, getting back, so all of this is to discuss the idea that fitness is commoditized and the idea that it's everything is so easy in life, on planet Earth, in the United States, in the developed world, that I think that it's also easy for people to bamboozle people into believing that what they're doing needs to be the thing. And a large part of the consumer market is looking for the lowest barrier to entry to start. And so I think that it's not a concern for me in that we're in it for the long game. You're in it for the long game. It's not going to hurt our business in the long game. It's just the exhaustion of the everyday conversations with people who have been mistreated, if you will, by the marketplace, who are concerned that you're the next one to do it.
Right.
How do you overcome that?
Right. Empathy, honestly. My entire business is built on empathy, and that overriding so Dark Horse is not just a name that I picked out of a hat. It truly is. I mean, being a dark horse was basically my entire athletic career. I rode the pine on every sport I ever played in high school. I loved sports.
That means
don't get me wrong, but I wasn't.
I mean,
yeah, I was not starting at anything. Like if I was varsity, it was just because I'd been there long enough and they were like, give him the last varsity spot so he doesn't feel terrible. And so like that was my life. And same as a student, nobody ever really tried, no teachers ever tried to help me. They just assumed that I was a bad student. I just hated high school, frankly. And so when I got to college, all of a sudden I started getting good grades when I realized it was on my shoulders to do well. Nobody was going to come and save me. And so I was wasting my own money if I didn't figure it out. And then when I got to San Diego, and I found rowing, it was based on our team to be successful or not, because your novice year is your first year of rowing. And we did really well our first year. We were a really scrappy team. Very few of us had ever actually rowed. We just came together and we were strong. And so we placed third at this big East Coast race that our school had never been to. And we medaled, and it was like, wow, that was incredible. 10 minutes after we got off the water, the varsity walked up to us and went, hey, that was cool, but don't get used to it. This isn't a winning program. And we were like, oh, what just happened? And we, as a novice squad, came together 10 minutes after that and went, fuck these guys. We will take their seats next year. And so we all trained our asses off that summer, came back the next year, bumped all of them down to JV. We took the varsity boat, and like one of them made it into the varsity boat, and the rest of us had the varsity spots, and rode that all the way through. We made the decision that we wanted to go to the national championships as a small school that had never gone to the national championships. Our coach didn't believe we could do it. So our junior year, we mutinied and went to the AD and said, all your varsity guys are quitting if you don't fire our head coach, because he doesn't believe in us, and he's not pushing us hard enough to succeed at the level that we believe we can succeed at. And we dictated our own training program for the summer, for the next school year, and ended up making it to the national championships. But it was despite all of the people around us not believing that we could do it. And we were the smallest, scrappiest. If one person had gotten out with an injury, we were screwed. We wouldn't have made it. And during that time, that was how we found CrossFit and everything. So that was my rowing career. And then I went to CrossFit after rowing, and I was always the too tall, too skinny to be good at CrossFit guy. I'm 6'3", and I weighed 170 pounds when I got into CrossFit. And at my first regionals, I DNF'd a floater workout that was 185 shoulder to overhead for 20 reps, followed by 40 burpees over the barbell. I had to clean and split jerk every single one of those shoulder to overhead reps because I wasn't strong enough to support that bar. But I went to the CrossFit Games 4 years in a row with Team Invictus, and like nobody ever thought that I was going to be able to keep doing it. And so I always had this, like, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be because I'm going to have to work hard enough because it means something to me. And so to this day, I promise I'm bringing this full circle. Those people who feel disenfranchised, I get it. I get it when you feel like you've been screwed, when nobody believes in what you're doing, when you feel like you have more to prove, but you're not quite sure how to get there. And so that dark horse name, that idiom, really means a lot to me. And I want to treat everybody that comes through our doors like they have a home. And that part's really important. And that message across everything that we do is kind of the core of why we do what we do.
I appreciate you telling that story. I wasn't worried about you coming full circle. We spent the first 10 minutes talking about B and C rate baseball movies. But I think it's a valuable story for people to hear, because what you're describing there, Shane, if I'm understanding it correctly, is you're effectively making the assumption until someone tells you otherwise that they're coming in with similar life experience that you had, which is they tried something, someone didn't believe in them, and so they gave up on themselves in the moment, but decided that they were going to persevere. And now they landed with you. And it's your job to stop that chain of them not believing in themselves.
That is 100% correct.
I love that. I was just on a podcast earlier today with a woman named Gina Schatz, and there was a live audience, and somebody asked, so in a nutshell, what does your company do? And normally I answer the answer that we give in the marketing posts, and it makes sense. The answer makes sense. Whatever. But I said, I paused because it was live. I just said, we're a belief breaking company. That's what we do. At the core of things, we break people's beliefs, and we break the beliefs that they have that hold them back from being successful themselves, whether they're business beliefs, whether they're familial beliefs, whether they're beliefs about how smart they are, how much money they can or should be making in their career, or how fit they can be, or how long they have to deal with these aches and pains. Our job at the end of the day is to break their beliefs and then replace them with better ones. That's our job.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you do very similar work in the fact that you're not bringing somebody in who's like, I want to row, and you're like, cool, let's take a look at your stroke rate. It's who are you? Right. Yeah, 100%. So
that is the most important part of all of it. If you don't feel like you're at home, if you don't feel like you're supported, you're not going to stick around. And I don't blame you. You shouldn't stick around if you don't feel supported. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have one of the most, you said the biggest. I can't confirm or deny that you're the biggest YouTube channel for rowing. Yeah. Full disclosure, I did not spend my entire afternoon looking for bigger ones.
How are you?
Sorry, but we'll take your word for it. So you don't get that way by withholding your best stuff. You don't get that way by saying, all right, let's give them just enough to realize that they need to pay us to get more, and then leave them with a teaser. And I see so many people do that, especially at the bottom of the market from a price perspective. It's the idea. I saw recently somebody made a post that was, hey, I have some ideas about what gyms could do to survive another round of COVID lockdowns. If you're interested in learning what they are, DM me. And I'm not kidding you. An hour earlier, I had made a Instagram TV video that we produced with legit media team to make sure that it was good. That was about 10 minutes long, talking about these are the exact steps that we provided to the gyms who pay us tens of thousands of dollars a year to help them be successful. You can use them too. Here's what you need to do. Here's step 1. Here's how. Step 2, how.
Here's the blueprint.
All of it for free.
Yep.
And I don't know why. I would like to give people who don't do that the benefit of the doubt that they just don't know. And that they're doing their best. They're doing what they think that they're supposed to do. But they haven't gotten the mentorship somewhere along the way to understand that withholding your best stuff is going to withhold you from your best results. So how did you come to realize that put your best shit out there and people are going to find you and want more?
And it's so cliched, but I think you and I both just act from a place of service. And I can't tell you how I came to that conclusion. I just always knew that was what I had to do. I always say there's nothing that I put behind a paywall that I don't give you for free on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Nothing. You could, if you were so inclined, you could go watch the 500 videos that I've put on YouTube and you could learn everything that I know totally free. Yeah, I won't charge you a dime. I'll get paid through the ad revenue that comes because of it. I do not care. Please use the information. That's why I put it out there. And I don't hide anything. There's nothing that I will try to hide. But when I expect to be paid and when I deserve to be paid is when you want structure. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I will give you structure behind it. I will, help create the system that's going to make it easier for you to consume it and everything. But you could live on I don't know, at this point, 60 workouts that I've put out. You could just follow me for all of your workouts. No problem. You got them for free on YouTube. Go for it. But if you want structure, and when it comes to our offerings, it's highly service-based. So our bread and butter program, the Crew, is $19 a month. And you are guaranteed coaching. As in, you can put a video of you in our private Facebook group, and within 24 hours, you will receive coaching from our coaches that it will tell you exactly what you need to do to improve, to work on anything. And it doesn't have to be your movement either. If you just have life questions or questions about the program, we have a coach in there that is always going to get back to you within 24 hours. It's just service-based.
I love that. So I'm going to add that to ours. So Ray, if you're listening, Ryan, if you're listening, Vanessa, if you're listening, let's add that now. Moving on.
Yep.
I do understand what you're saying, and I do relate to putting the best stuff out there because you're coming from a place of service. I also, because of, I guess, just the amount of introspection I've done with myself from all the years of feeling like a failure and finally achieving some semblance of success and looking at what's the difference. One of the things that I've recognized is that I do, in a way, enjoy people looking to me for help. And I believe that part of the way that I can get more people to look for me for help is to put out help for free and have people say, that was great. I really like it. And I'm curious to you, how much of you putting that stuff out there is a selfish itch to scratch that you want to be thought of and think of yourself as an authority? And how much of it do you think is just because you really want the entire world to know how to row really, really well?
Honestly, it's probably about 50-50. Yeah. I take a healthy dose of, I feel energized when somebody stops me and says, "You're Shane Farmer. I love your videos. Thank you so much. That's super cool." to me, that is very energizing, and it scratches an itch. It pats me on the back, boosts my ego. And, my wife will tell you that I do love a good ego boost.
Who doesn't?
And yeah, right. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I mean, and I think it's easy for me to look at because I see that as almost a transaction. I want the world to live healthier, and that is extremely important to me. If you happen to use the rowing machine as a part of that, let me be that guide for you. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm not even going to try and wholesale you like this is the only thing and this is all you should do. Just let me be that guide for that part of your journey, because I want you to be healthier and I want to see that happen for you. There's an exchange of currency there where I know that you're getting better and I get the reward personally of number one, knowing that that's happening, and number two, being the expert in the field. Mm-hmm. Right. Last year in February, I think early February or January, I was in Paris. I got asked to come to Paris and MC the Indoor Rowing World Championships. And that was the biggest boost to me, where I was like, I just got asked to MC the World Championships of Indoor Rowing. That is amazing. Mm-hmm. And super cool. And so, there's definitely a selfish piece to that. And that's who I am. That's part of where my reward system comes from. And it does help keep me going.
I think it's valuable for people to hear that. And I'm glad that A, with you feeling that way about it for yourself, that you were candid enough to share it. And I appreciate that. And I'm glad that B, I'm not the only person in the world who feels that way. And the reason why I think it's so valuable is I do believe that many of the people out there who are sharing a little thing and then they're like, for the rest, go behind the wall. I think that part of the reason for that is they're afraid of giving it all away. Because if they give it all away, what would people come and buy? And in order to get people to come and buy something when you're giving it all away already, I believe that you need to have the confidence that you can do more than a static video that you shot 6 months ago can do for somebody. And in order to gain that confidence, I think that you need to acknowledge, or I think it would be beneficial to acknowledge, the selfish nature of the content that you create, because then you're just okay with it.
Yeah, that is a really excellent point.
Thanks.
I think not enough people recognize that part of themselves.
Well, I remember
we're selfish creatures, and a lot of people want to pretend that they're not. Yes. It's okay. It's just part of humanity. So that's a really, 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 really excellent point that you're making.
Thank you. I remember vividly, Shane, and I don't know if you've had a moment like this, and I'd be interested to hear if you have, when I decided I was going to stop telling people, I don't care if you work with us or somebody else, just work with somebody. And then I was like, no, fuck that. We are better than everybody else. And if I wanted them to work with anybody, I would have just not started a company. The reason I started the company is because I believe there was a hole in the marketplace. So fuck what I just said. Work with us. Did you have a moment like that? Because that was, for me, that was like one of those, the superhero gets knocked out and he wakes up with superpowers. That was that moment for me.
I don't know that I've had, maybe I've had it's not exactly analogous to that, but it's like, I had a company come to me and say, hey, we're interested in what you're doing. We'd like to sponsor a video for you, and or a sponsor video on your channel. And I was like, oh, gee, thanks for thinking of me. Yeah, that'd be really nice. I was like, let me get back to you on the price of it. And I stepped back, and everybody around me, they were like, going rate with the number of subscribers you have. I think we had maybe 50,000 subscribers at the time on the channel. Our going rate would be like $800 to sponsor a video. I was like, 800? I am worth way more than that. That is, no, not 800. And so I went back, at first, my first inclination when I was on the phone was just to blurt out $1,000 for a video, but I have busted my ass to build everything that I've built. My community is valuable because I don't lie to them. I'm very honest with them, and there's no bullshit there. if like I am giving them the best of me, and therefore if you want access to this community of people that I've built up because I give away the best of me, you got to pay for that. So I went back at $8,000 a video, and they said, great, we'll take 2. And I was like, yes,
got it.
It's amazing. Got it. You know? And like that moment for me was very, very solidifying of like, we are worth it. And the amount of over delivery that we put into everything that we sell is off the charts. Off the charts. Like, you do not buy from us and feel like you got less than you were expecting. Mm-hmm. You get way more for, especially given the price.
Sure.
$19 a month to have unlimited coaching access. Like, that's insane. Nobody else is offering that, right? Like, it's stupid that we can offer that, but that's a commitment that I've made. Like, you will get coaching from us.
Right. Well,
personal coaching.
The thing is, you have to be willing to believe in your thesis, which is, if we do this, more people will come and pay us $19, and there will be the ability to pay somebody off of the margin of that to coach everybody. And not everybody's going to take us up on the coaching, but they have it available to them should they want it. I think that's a phenomenal story, and I have a question for you about it. Do you ever do follow-up on, hey, by the way, how did that $16,000 that you spent for me to wear your t-shirt in our videos go?
I watched how it went, and they just like burned it up. It was ridiculous.
What do you mean?
It was, well, so it was the company was Decathlon. Have you ever heard of them? Sporting goods store based out of, they're the largest sporting goods store in the world, based out of France. And they wanted to build this new rowing product and launch it in North America where they don't really have a presence. And so all they wanted was, for my audience, was to give like R&D input. So they created their own social media platform that they wanted people to register for, to like give them product feedback. And it just became a mess. And then COVID hit and the product stalled, and it just kind of like turned into nothing. But they also like flew me to France to come test the product and come visit their HQ, which was amazing. And because I love Europe. And so I got to go spend time over there. And, you know, the guys I worked with were great. Unfortunately, COVID and, you know, big corporation just kind of got in their own way. But
no, the reason I'm asking that is because, you know, companies are constantly, and people are making decisions about where to put their money. And to me, that decision is made based on trust. It's made based on, okay, Shane, if I give you $16,000, I want you to ask what I want to get out of it. Because I want you to know what I expect. And if you're not going to be able to deliver that, I want you to tell me no. And I'm always interested to hear the stories of how that kind of stuff goes, because it's just interesting to me. And it sounds like what they were looking for, they had an opportunity to do, they just squandered it a bit.
Yeah. So I guess I think I missed a bit of that, but we over-delivered on what they were expecting. Our KPI on that was that they wanted X number of new signups to their social media platform. That was their KPI that they were expecting from us. And I think it was like 65. They wanted 65 people to sign up for a new social media platform, which, as you know, that's a big ask to get somebody to sign up for a social media platform that isn't established. Like, there's a lot to that. And so went into it, I was like, hey, just so you guys know, like, you're asking people that's a lot for somebody to do online. You're
asking for habit change.
They're like, yeah, we know. You're asking for, big deal. And they wanted that over, it was like 2 weeks or a month. I think they said in a month, we'd like to see 65. We did 65 in the first hour, and we ended up, I think we had like 299 people sign up for their platform after it was all over. So like we knocked that out of the park on what the expectations that were set were. And then the trip to France and everything, we documented that. And
people should hear, for those of you out there who are haphazardly dropping your emails into things, this company was willing to pay $16,000 for access to 65 people's attention.
Yep.
Think about that. $16,000 for access to 65 people's attention. Quick math, $10 gets you to $650. $20 gets you to $1,250. That times about what, 11? So they were willing to spend $230, $250 on each person that you drove to their platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Well, it was interesting to say the least.
So stop giving people your email just for no reason.
Yeah, right. You are valuable.
I have an email account, Sean's Spam at hotmail.com. And I'll use it if I really want to log into something. And I don't ever check Hotmail, so forget about it. The only time I go there is to grab whatever confirmation code I need to see their funnel.
Yeah, the 10% off that you just signed up for.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. In that case, I give my real email. I give them that one for like when I'm logging into like look through someone else's advertising funnel and see how they're doing everything and just learn about it. Okay, so I want to keep going. Making a living $19 at a time is hard. Mm-hmm. And people think like, oh, Shane creates these videos and then he's got a Facebook group, $19. It's got to be what, $18.50 in profit? No. So, I don't see a ton of Dark Horse Rowing Facebook ads hitting my face every day, and I would, because I would have clicked on something of yours that would do that. How do you generate new clientele at $19 a month that is enough to create a business where you live in California?
I have literally never spent a dime on advertising.
I hate you right now.
Unless you count YouTube, the money that I've put into making YouTube videos. Frankly, YouTube was for the longest time just a loss leader to establish me as the expert in the space. And that is our biggest lead generator, YouTube, hands down, not even close.
Do you optimize it? Like, do you do things to make it work, or do you just put really good videos on there, write a little commentary, respond to comments, and you're done?
Like my closeout to every video, I'll occasionally do call outs to the crew. Or for example, like we just got done with Rowvember, which is a big thing for us. Row every single day for the month of November, and we send a workout to your inbox every day. And we make it super fun. Like one day it was 4 rounds of the fish game. The last day of the month was it was essentially a beer 2K, but with your choice of liquid. So a 2K, but every 500 you have to stop and drink a pint of something. So like we made it fun, but more than 5,000 people signed up for that. And that all came from YouTube.
That's amazing.
I made a video about it, launched it, went to our list. We've collected emails since 2016. So we have a big email list. Email marketing is our biggest. That's how we sell. And even there, I do a terrible job at selling through email. Horrible. I don't have a single automation in place. Sean, this is I feel like I'm not doing a good job of encouraging online business owners, but I don't have a single marketing automation in place. YouTube drives it. And until last year, I was losing money on YouTube every month. Mm-hmm. Now we've made all of that back.
How do you lose money? How do you lose money
on YouTube? Now.
What do you mean? Were you spending ads on YouTube?
Because No, I don't edit. So I pay an editor and, camera equipment and everything. So my media team is was an editor in the UK, now is an editor in the Philippines. And then before that, 3 years ago, I started filming my own stuff. Before that, I had guys who would come and film me and edit. So that was more expensive early on. And then I bought my own equipment and started getting comfortable filming my own stuff. And, So
what you're describing is the cost of producing the videos that end up on YouTube is what your cost is, and you weren't generating the income that you were paying using YouTube to create those videos.
Correct. We were making a moderate amount in ad revenue, YouTube ad revenue. Mm-hmm. But now I guess you could consider that YouTube ad revenue is a real line item for us. But up until a year and a half ago, that it was not. We were losing money on that transaction.
Good for you for the consistency, man. That scrappiness from getting cut by baseball and shoving it up the ass of the varsity team on crew. It might not feel to people like it's relevant, but that's where you learn how to be scrappy like this. That's where a year 100%. And a half of losing money on YouTube is like, yeah, whatever. Like eventually I'm going to make it here. That's
right.
It's
because nobody else was doing it. I just knew it. I was like, nobody else is here. This is a blue ocean. Like I got all the leeway to do whatever I want. And even today, there's like still just one other guy doing it.
right.
And it's like the two of us, and all of our subscribers subscribe to both our channels. You know?
Yeah. Well, look, Blue Ocean, anybody who wants to hop on there and share Shane subscribers, go ahead and create a YouTube channel. So how do you help people? And this is a selfish question. You have rowers who are doing your program and they're like, hey, Shane, my back's been bothering me this week. What do you guys do about that?
That's a toughie.
That's
we
easy.
don't have.
Send them to us.
What's that?
We'll talk about this after the show. Send them to us.
Yeah, no.
All right.
I mean, that's really it. Like, you know, we're obviously not qualified to speak to that. And we make an important note of that, especially in our Facebook group. Like, we'll point you to videos that we think might be helpful, but it's also important to note, like, discuss with your doctor. Make sure, you know, we're not qualified to give you advice on this. So
yeah, we got a lot we can do together. I'm excited about that. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I believe that.
Shane, I really enjoyed this conversation with you. It felt like I was talking to an old friend, despite the fact that we met for the first time a year ago at the Spartan World Championships, and we've emailed back and forth a little bit since then. But like this really felt like a conversation with an old friend. Is there anything
Isn't that funny?
It was funny. Yeah. Like, you and I lived the same past. Are you 37 years old?
We're 35.
Okay.
35.
So
born in 85.
So we're not actually the same person. I got it.
No, but very likely.
Yeah. You're also 6'4", I'm 5'10". My excuse in CrossFit was the same. Too tall. That's the problem. Like, well, why don't you row?
I get it.
Why don't you row or climb ropes or do ball balls well? I'm like, whatever. I'm just too tall. Don't question.
I'm too lanky.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Any parting shots? Anything that the audience needs to know before we end our conversation today that you think the world is better for knowing?
Yeah, come find me on YouTube, youtube.com/darkhorserowing. That's a great way to dip your toe in the water with everything that we're putting out there. And if you use rowing as a part of your training, if you own a rower or you have one around and you're like, man, this thing basically just acts as a glorified clothing rack, then come find us, darkhorserowing.com. And the best way to get started is our program called The Crew, $19 a month. You can't really beat that.
Shane, my mom listens to this podcast. And I watch her row in the other room. We have two water rowers in there, not Concept 2.
Yeah.
So
that's okay.
That's okay. You're supposed to say that's great. Those are amazing. I'm fucking around. So
it's more so. Don't worry. You can have any kind of rowing machine and still use our programs.
So what I would love for you to do for a moment here is, my mom is above the age of 40 and below the age of 80. I'm not going to share the rest of it. That's her own prerogative.
Yes. I'm going to guess closer to 40.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And she has little to no experience on a rower except what she's done here. Is Dark Horse Rowing an option for somebody like her, or do I need to have some level of skill to actually use it?
No, she is literally our target audience. You would be amazed. Probably 75% of our audience would be your mom. Like people who come in who have absolutely no experience. They go through our Launch Your Rowing program, which gets them up to speed like that. And they walk into our program. They can ask questions anytime they 10 people have jumped in you answered it for him.
You cut out there when you said anytime they want, they can.
Okay. Anytime they want, they can come and get a question answered. So there's no other place where you're going to get direct to the source answers to your questions if you don't understand something. And our community is so active that you can post a question in there, and before our coach even has a chance to get to it, you have like 10 people who are like, hey, so happy you're here. Like, it's amazing. My journey is exactly like yours. Just wanted you to know, like, you're in the right place. Here's my best guess on what Con is going to say, but I'll let him answer when he can get here. And, 3 hours later, Coach John jumps on. You've got a direct answer to a coach. So yes,
that's awesome. I love
it. Will work exactly for somebody like your mother.
There's two things about that I love. One is that it would work for my mom. And two is that I kind of feel like you ended this podcast on your mother joke.
As I said it, I was like, I feel like I'm telling a your mama joke.
Yeah. 75% of the people who want my shit are your mama. All right, Shane. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate the time we spent today. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sean. Appreciate it, man.
My pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please be sure to head to wherever you listened to it and give us a quality review, as well as 5 stars if you can spare them. If you want more from us, feel free to follow all of our social media accounts at Active Life Professional, Active Life RX, and Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. Remember, at Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym, and the healthcare provider of the future is the coach. We also believe that that future is now. Turn it up.